A good bill that we have here for Central Oregon is the Redmond Affordable Housing Bill that I put forward. So to expand the pilot project that Bend received, now Redmond will be able to do that as well. So there'll be 485 units built in Redmond. It's on the northeast side. So, and it'll be mixed housing. So you'll have townhomes, duplexes, everything in between. And they will be deed restricted at 80% AMI for 50 years. So these are going to be true affordable housing. And there's talk of there being a commercial node on the inside, perhaps with daycare availability, because we're running low on daycare units too. So that was a definite win for Central Oregon there. A bad bill was the gross receipts tax. So that is a 1% tax on any business that does gross receipts, so not just sales, but everything over $1 million. And in our industry, when you build a house, you have multiple layers to build it. So from the lumber, you'll have the harvest will be 1% tax, transportation will be a 1% tax, the mill will be a 1% tax, the treatment will be a 1% tax, transportation to the retail, I mean, on and on and on, and it compounds up to about 12%. So that'll be a definite impact on the pricing of housing. So that one was a bad bill. So Senate Bill 608 was also a bad bill for housing because it'll limit the supply of rentals available. It was rent control with the no-cause eviction. There is some need for the no-cause eviction, so I'm not too sad about that. But the cap on rent control, we've already seen it in our area, where the rentals supplies have come down, and then also security deposits have gone up, and landlords are now using 700 plus credit scores to approve their new tenants. So this is becoming harder than ever to find a rental. So House Bill 2001 at first was a bad bill. The way it was worded would significantly eliminate single-family residences. But in the House, we were able to change it and get some amendments put place in there and reworded it so it wasn't no longer a mandate on developer building duplexes, triplexes, townhomes. That are now, the cities will just have to allow that in their code. And any HOA going forward is prohibited from not allowing those types of housing. So it's kind of like our ADU bill that we passed here, and that Bend allows. I don't think it's going to be a game changer. I don't think it's going to drastically change our neighborhoods, but now there are the availability to have these multi-unit housing in single-family residence zones. It's not a big change for Bend and Redmond. In fact, the legislature used Bend as an example of what to do statewide. So we're not going to see a big significant change here. The good part of the bill is that now cities will be held accountable for their supply and capacity. So every 5 to 6 years, they have to do an assessment on what available units are, or what units are available for their lots. And they'll no longer be allowed to use hypothetical trends. So if you had 1,000 lots available, hypothetically, if there were quads available, could be built, would have 4,000 units available. Now they'll actually have to look back historically of what has sold, what's been built. And so they look back at those 1,000 units and find out that 950 of them were single-family residences. Then they now know that they only have capacity for that many units. So they'll have to add land in. So this is more of a supply bill. It turned into a supply bill at the end. So for the state, I think it's a good bill. We've got a lot of work to do. So making the UGB expansion process easier would be a great goal. I think that's a lofty goal considering the legislature makeup. What I would like to try to do is make the pilot projects that we've seen in Bend and Redmond, take that statewide. And then with the passage of a bill from this previous session, there's now grant money, so smaller cities can apply for these pilot projects and get help from the state. So cities like Madras, Lapine, Prineville, where they couldn't afford or have the staff available to do these grants, applications for pilot projects, things like that, now they perhaps will be. So that, along with the pilot projects to change that into a statewide program, adding land into city, creating supply, that would be a huge win for us. It is super, it's intense. Every 15 minutes there's another meeting, so it keeps you on your toes, it keeps you going. Meeting constituents every day coming in that drove from Central Oregon, that was the best part about it. And just being there fighting for Central Oregon was an honor and a privilege, and I actually enjoyed it. Yeah. I did pass a bill that would make it easier for replacement dwellings on EFU land. So currently on our exclusive farm use, if a house is burnt down or if it's getting really old and you wanted to fix it up or replace it, you would have to go through the permit process and it could be appealed and all of that. With the passage of that bill, you don't have to jump through those hoops anymore. You can just replace the dwelling. So if I believe they go back 40 or 50 years, and so anything before that, yes, you still have to get a permit. But anything after that, if a permit's been issued, you can just replace the house. So that was a good one. And they've tried to pass that for the last 5 years, and I was able to do it. So and another win along for Redmond and with the pilot project, COCC got $8 million of funding. So Redmond's going to see a lot of attention because with the housing units and now the expansion of COCC that we're growing. This adds the education element too. So we're going to have housing and education, which I think will bring in a lot of people in our area. So I think that's a good one too.